Morning show K101. Joining us in studio, the High Plains Tech guys.
Tech Bites, what's on the menu, Mr. Holt? And we're pleased as punch to have Mr. Holt, that's Barkley, to his friends, and Don Gaines, assistant superintendent's there to talk. And it's always kind of tough to Barkley to know where to start because there's so much and so many things that we can talk about. And I don't really know where to kick this thing off.
Start off, and there's a lot going on out at 34th and Hanks Trail. Buildings coming along.
Give us an update there.
Fixing to pour foundations and got all the electrical and plumbing's in, or the septic tank systems in the ground. So anyway, they're getting there.
Now, folks have missed us. What's that new facility allow you to do?
Well, it's going to move. It's going to move diesel. All of diesel will go over there, and then in construction welding will have additional space, and that space will be. You see that every year Pake does some type of a tiny house, takes the kids start to finish through a framing and complete build, and then over to in the welding deal be a space for projects. For those of you that haven't been out there in a long time, those two shops, construction and welding, were built as skills shops more so. They were booths. They were the construction's more cabinet making shop, not space to do projects. And so this will allow us to have space that projects can continue through each day to day. So that's for construction welding. And the diesel deal, as I said, all diesel will move over there, but that's going to free up that space on the west side of the building. Diesel takes up a big portion of the west side of the facility, and we will do some other programs in there, hopefully, down the road of things that we've been tasked with or asked about for a long time, maybe HVAC, electrical, plumbing, some of that stuff in some shape, form, fashion, and then maybe an industrial maintenance or something like that. So
we talked earlier this morning about moving and shaking there at 34th and Hanks Trail. But you move and shake all the way to Beaver. I mean, Beaver's up and running. Give us an update. It's kind of
funny, CJ. The Beaver thing and the outreach there, and I just saw a post yesterday. You don't always know what's going on, believe it or not, even though you're supposedly the guy in charge day to day. But the Turpin crew out there, we got what we deem a welding / construction program, because didn't know that we could stand either one of them up in its totality, but we did that, and I saw where they're working on a fire truck and doing that for one of the fire departments out there, and then things are blowing and going. I mean, the reception out that way in terms of the amount of kids we've got in programs, Don can speak to that some as well, but has been just, I mean, it's about 40% of the juniors and seniors are participating, and that's about what we average here, is about 42%. So anyway, real good out there. But it's funny, how that just the outreach of the tech center and how timely and people want it.
We actually, me and Miss Goss were out there yesterday, and we were doing TAP officer interviews. We did our first TAP club out there, getting ready to do that again, and got to go to Beaver schools as well as Forgan and interview some 6th graders, some 7th and 8th, and a few 10th graders, and pick TAP officers, and just to see these kids light up and see how excited they are about leadership. And again, you had some that have done that kind of thing before, and then you had some that had never been a part of that, and we're like, why are you here? Why do you want to do this? And they say, well, we know this is important. We want to be a part of it, but tell us what it is. And so just really neat experience to see those kids, get excited about leadership and learning and how they can help people. They really were focused in on that. So really great experience. And again, it's going to continue to grow and be a great thing for.
And those kids really, embrace that, or they want that. You kind of touched on it. They want to learn.
Right, and it's not just it's not just here, the career tech thing. I had somebody yesterday talking about how it's taken off across the state. And we work closely with our other tech centers and stuff, doing things where kids can participate If that's not available in one community, it's available in the other, and it's been really cool to see what's happened that direction.
I don't know that I really ever thought about that. Of course, there's another outstanding career tech center, Northwest Tech, both Alvin, Fairview, I guess, campuses in both places. That there's a cooperative agreement that you work together.
We have reciprocity agreements, and that kind of
that's a big word.
Kind of segues. There's a people we're just a stone throw away from everybody and kind of know, but yes, reciprocity is where if another school does not have a program or a program's full, they can come over here and you mentioned Northwest Tech. There's good friends up there.
Well, you have a fan club over there.
Worked up there for 5 years, and we talked about earlier. CJ, I told you, Terry Ryle is on the board up there. Terry's a longtime friend, but we were at a wedding. There's a little wedding event last weekend. I don't know if you heard about it, but anyway, those Bates boys up there north of Tea Garden, their mother Shelby, Terry's daughter, married Jared up there. Those boys, she said, those boys enjoy listening to that show, and I think they enjoy listening to you more than me. But it's kind of a cool deal. It's just talking about this close knit that Northwest Oklahoma is, but the support we get from not only our board, but that the other boards get to make this career tech thing happen is pretty cool.
And just talking about all those other tech centers, I can tie into something we did yesterday. We had our rookie welding contest.
Okay.
We have that every year. And actually, we had Chisholm Trail, over towards Kingfisher. Mm-hmm. We had Northwest Tech here. We had Autry Tech was here. People from our Turpin were competing. A lot of people competing in our rookie welding, new welders, and Blaze Overton from High Plains was the second place overall winner out of a bunch of them. So he was our local. He's a Moreland kid that got second place at that rookie welding contest with all those schools participating. So a really cool event where, again, we pull them all together and hold that and can affect a lot of kids around our area.
You mentioned Chisholm Trail, went by there here a week or so ago. They've expanded and built a new building, and it's always kind of cool to see. And obviously, we know here at High Plains what you've done.
It's been
a
huge push across the state,
but the entire state to see those the facilities and what you're doing.
Brent has done a phenomenal job, and he's done that on the backs of Brent Hakens, who I'm referring to. But he's done a really good job of kind of doubling down and trying to sell across to the leadership at the state house that hey, in order to get more of these kids involved, in order to get more kids into careers, trades careers and stuff, we're going to have to get more exposure, and that means capacity. And he's done a really good job, and I know he's working on that with state budget upcoming this spring, and there's a big push there just to try to get some of that injection so we can get some of these things done. We're working on the post-secondary thing awful hard and trying to head that direction. I know Brent's efforts they're starting to show some fruit.
We did a story here I did a couple of weeks ago, the budget increase, about a 40% increase, the proposal for the legislatures. Those have to be done prior to the session that gets underway early next year, but it totals like $244 million, which would be about a $68 million increase. But you can justify that when you see the results so far of what Career Tech has done will continue to do, I would guess. And
we were honored to have Sean Burge at the last chamber,
chancellor,
the chancellor for the new chancellor, and has a really good slide there, and he goes up to. It starts off as a high school diploma, GED, and goes on up to to your master's and PhD. And on the far right of that slide, I think was like at 67,000, give or take, and a kid, a student, young person that leaves an LPN program or a WIN program or a CDL 5-week program is going to meet or exceed that. So it was really interesting. I think we're doing a pretty good job. I mean, everybody knows that, but we're finally attacking that. And it's not an and or. It should be and. I mean, we should be looking at those kids can go through a program at a technical school, Career Tech. They should be going on to college. If they want to go into management, they may need that, but not always do they need that either. So it's just getting them on a path. And I think at this juncture, you know, you're talking about the funding part. There's a realization that, you know, you said I think 60 million something,
Right.
and I don't have the number right in front of me, but you know, right now we get about 2.5% of the state budget, state dollars, and about 23 or 4% of that goes to higher ed, and the balance of it goes to public ed, as it should, and we want it to. But there's just got to be, if we're going to focus on that post-secondary type thing, we've got to get more dollars across from the state to the career techs, and especially our rural schools. In Oklahoma City, where there's growth, and Tulsa, it's a whole different animal. But
local funding's big for the career tech ad valorem stuff in terms of
we're about 75% locally funded. So that's our patrons pay taxes, vote to join like Beaver did 2 years ago. That's where about 70% of our funding comes from. And then we're about 20% state and about we're less than 10% federal. But yeah, it's a humongous part, and those local dollars turn over here. I mean, they go right there, stay in our district. So,
you know, workforce need seems to be the buzzword, if you will. Everyone talks about workforce and those needs. How do you identify that? What? How do you go about? Here's what we need to provide at High Plains.
We have advisory
Center.
committees. I mean, that's the best. That'd be the simple answer. Is those advisory committees set up by business and set up by our staff for business and industry. We actually have got a big one upcoming that's going to be more on the administration route, where we're going to get counselors, principals, and superintendents, which we always do the superintendents meeting every year. But we're going to bring those counselors and principals in with them, and then we're also simultaneously going to do Taylor's gathering a group of business and industry people, and just kind of starting down this effort of just, hey, this is what needs to happen. I think sometimes there's a break between the public school and then the realization. I say realization that a kid can make a living wage right here in Woodward, Oklahoma. And if you're going to retain them, that's how we got to keep them. So
and here again, I'm not very intelligent about the whole big picture, but it appears to me that career tech is best prepared anyway to quickly identify those needs and respond to it. Seemingly on the state level, or much less the federal level, it just takes forever to get something done. And you're kind of locally based, and you can do things. A turnaround's quick, I guess.
I think that's it. If Don has an idea or a teacher says we need to go to this direction, and then it's literally as simple as coming up to the front office, being talked about, can we make it work dollar and cent wise, and then the board obviously made aware of that. Sometimes there's a vote involved in that, sometimes not, depending on where we're at. But within the month, it can happen, and sometimes it can happen as before that monthly board meeting. So that's a huge pivot that's different from other institutions that have to go through, have to go downstate, and they got to decide, well, if we're going to give it to this school, are we going to give it to all of them, and do we have enough? I mean, it's just we don't deal with that as much.
And that's not in any way, shape, or form that you don't need state assistance from the big boys, if you will, because to get done, I think what you want to get done and need to get done and all the above, the state legislature is going to have to step up and help you too.
Yeah, I think that's where Brent has really, him and Sky McNeil is our director of OKACT, and they're
and what's that for us?
That is our professional organization, Oklahoma Career Tech Educator Association, and that Sky does, former legislator from Bristow that runs that, and they've been on the same page. Don, wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely.
I mean that seems to be a really good situation, and has gained some traction.
Before we get out of here, Don, I know you've got state officers that, and I don't think anybody does it any better than High Plains in terms of getting those kids out, not only on a local level. And by the way, you did a great job 3 weeks ago at the chamber luncheon. You had 25, 30 kids there.
We had a lot.
They all had their blazers on or their T-shirts on or something. And if you didn't get greeted by one of the tech center kids, but
the TAP kids almost trapped you.
Wow!
I mean, you couldn't get in there without.
You couldn't get by without shaking a hand, and No,
What a deal. But state officers,
it
too.
was great. And, you know, that's what we talk a lot about workforce, and we talk a lot about skills and things like that we try to teach. But one of the most important things we definitely try to teach is that leadership, that professionalism, that being able to shake somebody's hand, look them in the eye, you know, talk to them, because we know this generation's getting away from that. And we've been so blessed this year. We've got a couple brand new officers that'll be going. We've got a couple that are serving. So Lily Lewis, Camilla Corona are two from our HOSA, which is our health organization. Those two students are from Woodward schools, and they were elected just this week actually as HOSA state officers. Tristan Hawes is one of our adult students, and he's in our multimedia with Leanne, and he's an adult student that's going to be a state officer. Ainsley Gates is a BPA state officer who's serving right now for Mrs. McDowell. Tucker West, we have a national officer. So right here in little old Woodward, Oklahoma,
Wow.
we have someone representing us across the nation. Just really cool. Again, I told you about the TAP officers that we've elected. We've got 12 or 14 of them. In here, I think we've got probably 8 that we've selected for Beaver County. So these kids are going to be our future leaders in Northwest Oklahoma.
Pretty cool, CJ. I think it was 2016 we got our first. We had never had a state officer prior to that in High Plains Tech. We had our first one in 16, and we've got that wall complete now. Or so I've been told that now we're at, I don't know what that makes us, 8, 11, probably 14 state officers since 16. So pretty cool stuff, and opportunities that kids get that they'll never forget for a lifetime.
How's the best way for someone, whether you're a parent or a young person, that say, hey, that sounds good, that WIN program sounds good, the CDL program, nursing, welding, whatever. How's the best way for someone to find out more about you?
I'm a little old-fashioned, but 256-6618 is the easiest way.
That's me.
But I mean, our
Can
website.
they come out? Can
Come
they
out and
visit
visit
the
us.
school?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Audra
Absolutely.
Halderman's our counselor, and she I think she's got a tour. I mean, she has tours weekly, and so and we can do individual tours if somebody wants to. I'm not real sure about that, but I want to see what it looks like. She will get you hooked up and help you, guide you. I mean, that's what she's a guidance counselor. She's going to help you figure out what it is you want to do going forward.
And something I want to say before we get off here, CJ, real quick, that I want to give a shout out to Annie Schneider. And
Sealing Girl,
Sealing Girl, CTSO. So a lot of people don't understand that FFA is just like our hosts and deck and everything, and to be in that semifinals and a chance today to possibly be in the finals. I mean, huge
Public speaking, and I think she
deal
finds
for
out about now whether the Final Four.
Jeremy's a vet. Mom runs the show there
Okay.
at the vet clinic in Sealing. Just a great family, and Jeremy grew up in Fargo. So anyway. Just a big deal.
Well,
for
good luck
Northwest
to her,
Oklahoma.
eh?
Absolutely.
Young lady from Sealing Union. We're talking about, come see you. You've got the best greeter within 100 miles of Woodward when you come in that front door. I promise you.
She is a saint. Yeah, she is the first
That's
look.
Anita Lara.
Yes.
If you guys don't know her, come see her.
Yep.
It took me like a dozen years to get her to quit calling me Mr. Montgomery. I would walk
still
in,
calls
hello,
me-
Mr. Montgomery.
Still
I
calls
said,
me
quit that.
Still calls me Mr. Holt. So that's yep. Nope.
So, well, a man with a fan club like yours, particularly in Woods County, is certainly
I'm
deserving of
I'm telling you.
all that extra
Yeah,
attention.
get some
So,
swag. That's
hey,
what-
guys, thanks so much for being here. And I could talk to you for hours and hours what goes on and the great things that you do at the High Plains Technology Center here in the Woodward, part of the Career Tech system. That's Barkley Holt and Don Gaines with us this morning. So, Tech Bites.
Thank you, CJ.
guys.